done. Yep.
Yeah, all right.
We're ready.
All right, everybody, we will call the meeting to order. I'll ask our clerk to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Abraham?
Present.
Commissioner Galt?
Present.
Commissioner Kaler?
Present.
Commissioner Watkins?
Present.
Mayor Paxton?
Present. We have determined that each evening of the commission meetings, we're going to ask a minister or pastor to come and give our invocation. Tonight is Greg Waldrop from Fountain Avenue Methodist Church. And after that, I would like to ask Mayor Pro Tem Gail Kaler to give our Pledge of Allegiance.
Do we have any Boy Scouts in the audience?
We do, don't we? They were going to do that.
Let's let them come up and do it.
Yeah. So after Pastor Waldrop gives his invocation, you all come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Okay? Good deal. All right.
Let us pray together. Blessed are you, O Lord God, creator of the universe, for every good gift you give us. We give you thanks tonight for the stability and strength of good, responsive government. We give you thanks for these commissioners who have taken their place as our community stewards, our community servants. We thank you, O God, for every group that will make their way to this place and for this avenue and arena of representative democracy. We ask that you will give to all who speak and share a deep and abiding sense of your presence, of your way, truth, and life. We give you thanks, O God, for all the groups represented here. We are glad for the Scouts, the Cub Scouts, the Weeblos, the Boy Scouts, for their place in this community in molding character. And we thank you for the leaders that guide this group. And for all other groups represented, we give you thanks. We ask you, O God, tonight to teach us that we may see in every question of our conversation tonight, we may see it all in the light of our faith that we live out of. May we check in ourselves and in others every passion that makes for violence. May we check all ungenerous judgments, all promptings of arrogance, all presumptuous claims. Grant us insight, O God, to recognize the needs and aspirations of others, to remove any suspicions or misunderstandings, so that we may honor each other in your strength. O God, give to us now the important work and the strength to do the important work you give into our hands. We ask you that we may be so bound up in love with those with whom we interact tonight, that we may feel each other's needs as acutely as we feel our own, that we may intercede for each other with sensitivity, with understanding, and with imagination. Ruler of the universe, teach us that we may remove all hatreds and rivalry and hasten new understandings, new solid ways of being a community together. That we may bring our attributes of excellence, of considered judgments, to the treasury of our common humanity through you who love us so. Amen.
Amen. All right, our Scout troop. all of you fine young men here. We're in good hands. So I'd like for, who's going to be the, well, we'll just do it all together. Why don't you turn around and face the flag, and then we will follow your lead, okay? Anybody start?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much.
Sounded good.
Appreciate that. Okay, Mr. City Manager, any additions or deletions?
None.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, do you want to start or? Okay. We are here to present the Christmas Parade Float Awards. And this year we had 98 actual entries, but we had over 140 actual floats. So it was a very long parade this year. I actually saw the mayor come back before I got to leave, so it was a long parade. We're going to start with the band. First place winners get $300 plus a trophy. Second place winners get $200 plus a trophy, and third place winners get $100 plus a trophy. So the second place band winner was Reedland High School. Let's see anybody. And first place was Paducah Tillman.
Miss Scott.
There you go. Do we have somebody taking a picture here? No. All right. You're on television.
In the drill team category, third place was the W.C. Young School for Performing Arts. Okay. And second place was Mayfield Cheerleaders. And first place was the Paducah Quick Step Cloggers.
You want to do a little routine while you're up here?
Can they learn to clog with them? Yes, it is.
Thank you.
For the school category, we had the Paducah Public School Transportation Department.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate it.
For the non-float category, we had third place Cub Scout Pack 18.
Congratulations. Thank you for being in it.
Thank you.
Second place was Diamond Treatment. And first place was Falcon Club of America. The religious float category, third place was Amazing Grace Lutheran Church. Second place was Harmony Baptist Church. And first place was Reedland United Methodist Church. For the themed float, fifth place was Easter Seals Adult Center. Fourth place was Pizza Inn. Third place was St. Paul Lutheran Church.
Thank you. Congratulations. Appreciate you being in it. Thank you, young man.
Second place was Cub Scout Pack 20.
All right. Congratulations, guys. Come on up here. We're gonna get a picture. All right, better get over here. Hey, well, why don't you stand right here in front of this table?
Turn around, face that way, guys.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Oh, watch that last step.
Good move.
That would have been terrible.
I want to be in the picture.
Get your head in there. So, there you go. All right.
Hang on, you got people taking pictures.
Got more in the back.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And first place goes to Girl Scouts Troop 395. Back.
We'll make sure we get the rest of them to the.
Yeah, I just want to say that the weather was beautiful during the parade, and we had a huge crowd. I mean, they were 5 and 6 deep all the way from the police station down to the river. So it was a great parade, well attended, and a big success. So I just want to thank everybody for their hard work. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Kaler, you're to talk about the investment in Lower Town.
All right. I had an idea to recognize some people in Lower Town that have put quite a bit of their own money into private investment in Lower Town, and with at least 2 houses. So Pam went down and took some photos today. Bob and Terry Dwyer. And their houses are at 315 and 323 Madison. And the second house here on the left, I believe, Bob, was for your mother. That's correct. So it's good. Right, it's good to see you here tonight. So Bob and Terry are great community leaders in Lower Town with what they've done with their properties, as well as if they find areas of property that needs a little bit of extra attention, they work on that too. And they also maintain the exterior of the brick home at 4th and Madison. They plant things when they see a need for it and maintain it, and that's what we like to have in our community and have of our citizens, so we certainly appreciate the work that you all have done and your private investment there. And so I have a certificate here for you, Bob and Terry. Thank you for being good citizens and good stewards of the community.
Appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Sure appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, we adopted the spot there at the Marisource Park.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all. And I have to get back to, I'm sorry, I'm playing Santa Claus.
Sure. We understand.
There you go.
Thank you.
The next two houses belong to Pat Herring, and Pat owns the Pork Peddler and wonderful food that she does there. And she had a big party tonight. She couldn't be here tonight. But Pat, the first house that she bought is not in the photograph. It's actually the side of the house there. It was the old Dr. Brothers house. And she completely restored that, gutted it down to the studs in the wall, completely restored it to its original glory. And then Pat bought the little house on the left that you see pictured there. It was terribly, terribly run down. She completely restored that house, took it back to the original house that it was years ago, which was a little cottage. And then the third house that Pat is now undertaking is across from Paducah Area Transit. Pat has now completely restored that house, and it includes a large space on the end at the corner of 8th and Harrison. That's going to be a garden. So, you know, we appreciate people that have buy-in with our community and take such pride in our community and see the need and have the desire to do it. So I'll give this certificate to Pat. The other, Delbert Keyser, is another one that has bought 2 properties and renovated those with private funds at 219 North 9th. And when we first moved to Lower Town, I always drove by that house, and it was a beautiful old house at one time, and she has brought that house back to its original glory. And 407 and 409 North 5th, that was built years ago as a duplex, and she's done a great job on that as well. And I think, not sure if she has both of those rented right now. Sharon Graves restored the colonial apartment buildings, and all of those have been purchased. And she also did the Frederick at North 6th and Monroe. So we really appreciate all these folks that have stepped up and put their money into our community. And Steve, are you here, Steve Irwin? Yes. I don't know if we have anyone in Fountain Avenue, but if you know of anyone in Fountain Avenue that has renovated at least 2 houses there, then let me know and we'll recognize those people. Because neighborhood revitalization is one of our priorities here at the city. Thank you, Pam.
Okay. Thank everybody very much. It makes our city a better place to live when people put their money in it. So I appreciate, Gail, you recognizing those people. All right. We will continue with the meeting. Commissioner Abraham?
I move that the reading of the minutes for November 22nd and November 29th, 2011 meeting be waived, and that the minutes of said meetings prepared by the city clerk be approved as written.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Abraham?
Aye.
Mr. Galt?
Aye.
Mr. Kaler?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
Mayor Paxton?
Aye. All right, appointments. Whereas, subject to the approval of the Board of Commissioners, I hereby appoint Lorraine Shrimpke as a member of the Paducah Planning Commission to replace Kathleen Overland, whose term has expired. This term will expire August 31st, 2015.
I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the action of Mayor Paxton in appointing Lorraine Schramke as a member of the Paducah Planning Commission.
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaler,
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins,
Aye.
Mayor Paxton.
Aye. Lorraine is with Paducah Ford, Lincoln Mazda. She's Vice President and Controller and lived in Paducah since 1988. She's originally from St. Louis, and she is very active in many different boards here in Paducah. Appreciate her serving. Whereas, subject to the approval of the Board of Commissioners, I hereby reappoint Bill Pinkston and Leo Green as members of Brooks Stadium Commission. These terms will expire December 5th, 2015.
I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the recommendation of Mayor Paxton in reappointing Bill Pinkston and Leo Green as members of the Brooks Stadium Commission.
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaler,
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins,
Aye.
Mayor Paxton.
Aye. Appreciate these two individuals serving. All right, we'll go to motions. Commissioner Watkins?
I move that the following documents be received and filed: documents, certificates of insurance and right-of-way bonds, contracts, agreements, tagged truck center, previously known as Duckett Truck Center, for the purchase of one rear Packer refuse collection truck. Florence and Hutchinson Consulting Engineers for engineering services for the Noble Park Pool Filtration System upgrade. JJR LLC for contract modification number 3 for professional engineering redesign services for the transient boat landing dock for Riverfront Development Phase 1 design. Kovach Mobile Equipment Corporation for the purchase of a 2012 rescue vehicle for the Paducah's Fire Department. City of Paducah Police and Firefighters Pension Fund Statement of Governmental Accounting Standards numbers 25 and 27 Actuarial Report of June 30th, 2011. City of Paducah Police and Firefighters Pension Fund Valuation as of July 1, 2011. City of Paducah Appointed Employees Pension Fund Statement of Governmental Accounting Standards numbers 25 and 27 Actuarial Report of June 30th, 2011. Paducah Water Financial Highlights for October 2011. Notice of cancellation of the meeting for Tuesday, December 6, 2011 for the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Clerk is on an errand for me, so Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Kaler?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
And I say aye. All right, thank you. All right, municipal orders, Commissioner Abraham.
Upon the recommendation of the city manager, the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah order that the personnel changes on the attached list be approved.
Second.
All right, comments, Mr. City Manager?
Nothing too unusual here. We have a retirement and Ronnie Sissel, and we also will wish fond goodbye to Trey Stevens as he pursues career advancement in another location. So,
Any questions for the City Manager? All right, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaler,
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins,
Aye.
Mayor Paxton.
Aye. Commissioner Galt?
I move that a municipal order entitled, a municipal order amending municipal order number 1621 entitled, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a hazardous mitigation matching grant program application and all documents necessary through the Kentucky Division of Emergency Management, requesting 75% federal funds in the amount of $75,120, 12% state funds in the amount of $12,019, and 13% local funds in the amount of $13,020 for the purchase and installation of an emergency generator at either Fire Station Number 1, Parks Department, or the Police Department be adopted.
Second.
Okay, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We had to make a modification to the municipal order that you all initially passed as a part of completing our application. They sent a request back for alternative projects. We had just submitted a primary project that we wanted to see go through. In their review of that application, they wanted us to go ahead and supply some alternative projects in the event they didn't want to fund the primary one, and that's what you see before you tonight.
Okay. Any questions for Chief Kyle? Okay, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaler,
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins,
Aye.
Mayor Paxton.
Aye. Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Kaler.
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Mayor to Execute a Farm Lease Agreement Between the City of Paducah and Josh Goodwin for lease of the property commonly referred to as the Lindsay Farm in McCracken County, Kentucky for agricultural purposes only," be adopted.
Second.
Okay. Mark, what do you got?
This is a renewal of the farming contract that we've had on the Shin Bridge property for the last 2 years.
Okay. Any questions for Mark? Okay. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaler,
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins,
Aye.
Mayor Paxton.
Aye. Okay, we have an emergency ordinance. And with that, we'll ask Commissioner Watkins to read that.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce and adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Authorizing and Directing the City of Paducah, Kentucky to enter into and satisfy a stipulated judgment in Barry Carter et al. Versus the City of Paducah, Kentucky, McCracken Circuit Court Civil Action Number 06C1-00072 in the aggregate sum of $1,280,742. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance authorizes the entry of a stipulated judgment against the City of Paducah in favor of certain current and former firefighters regarding a claim for unpaid overtime wages in a suit styled Barry Carter et al. Versus City of Paducah, Kentucky. McCracken Circuit Court Civil Action Number 06C1-00072. The ordinance further authorizes and directs the City Finance Director to expend funds in order to satisfy the stipulated judgment in full for the aggregate amount of $1,280,742.64. The ordinance further authorizes and directs the City Finance Director to expend funds to satisfy the City's legal obligation to pay pension contributions due on account of the additional wages paid under the stipulated judgment in the approximate amount of $173,000 plus Medicare contributions in the approximate amount of $12,000 and contributions for unemployment insurance and workers' compensation in the approximate amount of $17,000.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Perkins.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The ordinance before you tonight authorizes city staff and city attorneys to bring to a close a lawsuit that was filed against the city in early 2006. Former and current firefighters asked the city to pay overtime in a method other than the way that the Kentucky Labor Cabinet had previously directed since 1983. Last September, a memorandum and order was entered with the McCracken County Circuit Court, which established legal liability for the city, as claimed by the plaintiffs. A proposed stipulated judgment will order the city to pay back wages and interest. The details of the liability are as follows: back wages $805,000, interest $476,000, pension contribution $173,000, Medicare tax, unemployment, workers' compensation $29,000, for an approximate total of $1.483 million. How do we pay for this? The ordinance before you tonight proposes the following. Several years ago, we had set aside $400,000. The city, several years ago, the general fund loaned $550,000 from the general fund to the health insurance fund. We'll call that note. And to make up the balance, the general fund will borrow from the Fleet Trust Fund approximately $533,000, which the general fund will borrow at 0% interest and pay back over a period of 5 years, started in 2013. On average, each plaintiff will receive a little over $18,000. The highest payment to an individual will be $29,500 and the smallest $3,100. Payments vary due to the number of hours that were actually worked, and the balance of the total cost of the $1.483 million is made up of taxes and retirement contributions. do you have any questions that I might be able to address?
Mr. City Manager, have you got any comments?
No, the commission, of course, has been aware of this for some time, and of course, has been kept abreast of recent developments in recent months, including the Supreme Court decision here that pretty much represented the end of the road. And the city has been advised by legal counsel that in their judgment that it is time to settle and to prolong this at some risk of not being successful would certainly continue to cost the city money and interest expense. So the recommendation is before you tonight to settle at the recommended amount.
I think the main thing to take away from this tonight is to for everybody to know that we followed the letter of the law from the state labor cabinet that instructed us how to go about it and how to pay it.
Yes.
The lawsuit happened in spite of that, and I will not go into any more comments, but we did follow the letter of the law. We did exactly what they told us to. So we're paying this anyway. Do any of the other commissioners have any comments? Yeah.
I'd just like to briefly say, Mayor, that it seems like the Kentucky Labor Cabinet ought to have a little liability in this from giving us the wrong information, and now we have to pay. But I would like to congratulate the Firefighters Union for negotiating in goodwill and being willing to settle at something reasonable, and also the city ourselves for working to bring this to closure and move forward in the future.
Anybody else? Commissioner Abrams?
Yeah, and I think that goes to show the relationship that we form with the fire department, the firefighters. Like the mayor said, that was that how that was figured was handed down to us. This is the way you do it. We did it that way. It's like, no, that's not the way you do it. Well, that's what you told us. Well, I'm sorry. So taxpayers are, if you're upset, I understand that. But that was something that we were following. We rectified it. We worked with fire department, and those guys understand that. And that's about it.
And, I mean, I think we should absolutely say that, I mean, there are no hard feelings anyway between us and the fire department, between the city government and the fire department. It was just one of those things that happened, and we did our due diligence with filing all the paperwork that we had to file for the lawsuit, because there was always that little hope that maybe it might not be settled that way, but it was, and we're doing the right thing, and we're moving on, and we're all still happy and friends, so it's the way it has to be.
Okay, any other?
No, I think it's great to get it behind us and move on. It's all good.
Yeah, good.
And it might be worth noting that it's not just the city of Paducah.
Right.
It's across the entire Commonwealth.
Lots of other cities
Absolutely.
throughout the state.
How much did Louisville have to pay?
Last time I read, and I know it's probably gotten bigger than this, it was in excess of $46 million. And I think even subsequent to that order, I think the group of plaintiffs actually sued their own attorney after the fact. They wanted more, so I think we've done quite well.
And I want to commend John, too, on, you know, you had that money put back because you knew this was coming down the pike. As you used to say, it was like wallpaper. And being resourceful, we didn't have to borrow any money to settle this except from Rick back there.
From ourselves.
Yeah. So, once again, that's why you get those awards every year, isn't it, John? Because you manage the taxpayers' money very well, and you're to be congratulated for that.
I appreciate that, Commissioner, but this is really a team effort. It's not my money. It's the treasurer. It's the people's treasure,
and the city manager. I'll
absolutely
give him some credit too. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I think Commissioner Galt said it best when she said, glad to get it behind us, and we indeed will be glad to get it behind us. It's been going on for 5 years, and even while this has been going on, we've had one labor contract negotiated with the union, and this didn't stop any, it didn't affect in any way. And so we've got a great relationship. It's unfortunate that it happened the way it did. Supreme Court didn't see it our way, but that happens.
Well, in the state, you cannot sue the state. They somehow came up with that law.
Sorry.
So it's dropped down to the cities. But anyway, enough said.
Unfunded mandate.
Unfunded mandate, correct.
They give you bad advice, and they don't have to suffer the consequences.
That's right. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Kaler?
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins?
Aye.
Mayor Paxton?
Aye. Thank you, John. Ordinances and introductions. Commissioner Abraham?
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, approving and authorizing the execution of an interlocal cooperative agreement among the City of Paducah, Kentucky, and the members of the MAPS GIS Consortium for the acquisition and administration of a ESRI multi-jurisdictional enterprise license. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance further authorizes and directs the mayor to enter into and execute an interlocal cooperative agreement with the other members of the MAPS GIS Consortium, McCracken County, Paducah Water, Paducah Power, Paducah McCracken County Emergency Communications Service Board, and the Paducah McCracken County Joint Sewer Agency, and any and all other documents which may be reasonably necessary to comply with the terms and conditions of the aforesaid interlocal cooperative agreement, so that the members of the MAPS GIS Consortium may join together and enter into an Environmental System Research Institute Incorporation multi-jurisdictional enterprise license agreement for the right of all members to use, deploy, and administer certain ESRIS software license.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Peterson, what do we have here?
What you have before you is a fairly complex, but at the same time fairly simple thing. Each of the entities that you heard about that are part of the MapGIS consortium, which City, County, Paducah Power, Paducah Water, the Joint Sewer Agency, and 911, each of us individually buy licenses from ESRI for GIS mapping software. We have been presented with the opportunity from that company to pool those monies together as a consortium and get this enterprise license agreement. What that will do for us, it would allow us access to virtually all software that they create and have, and will allow us for greater opportunities for development, better security on our web maps that we serve up to the public, as well as the data we maintain. We are the first entity such as this in the country that the ESRI is working with, so we are kind of blazing a trail. They're very interested to see what we do with this, so we're very excited to receive this, have the potential to do this, and as you can see in the agenda action form, the cost to the city is actually less over a 3-year period of time than it would be if we do this separately. It is a $150,000 contract over a 3-year period. It's $50,000 a year. We had already scheduled an upgrade of $18,000 for our server. We will no longer need that. So the city's portion this first year will be approximately $7,000, depending on when we actually execute the documents. And then it will be around $21,000 for the remaining 2 years, where we currently pay $18,000 now. But again, less the $18,000 we were going to pay for an upgrade anyway. So it's a good deal.
Okay. Any questions for Ben? Pretty self-explanatory. Good job, Ben. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Commissioner Galt.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, approving the interlocal agreement between the City of Paducah, Kentucky Fire Department, Concord Fire Protection District, Reedland Farley Fire District, Hendron Fire District, Lone Oak Fire District, West McCracken Fire District, and Barkley Regional Airport Authority, establishing automatic mutual aid in the event of a fire rescue emergency. This ordinance is summarized as follows: that the city and the fire districts hereby enter into an agreement to coordinate automatic mutual aid with all other parties in their respective jurisdictions in order to maximize the fire suppression effectiveness of equipment and personnel resources of all parties hereto, and to protect the lives and property of the citizens in the parties' respective jurisdictions. This agreement will govern the responsibilities of parties within whose jurisdictions an alarm occurs and those parties responding to an alarm outside their jurisdiction. This agreement shall remain in full force and effect for a period beginning on the effective date of the agreement and ending on January 1st, 2013. Unless notice of termination is given at least 90 days before January 1st, 2013, the agreement shall automatically renew for an unlimited number of successive one-year renewal terms.
Second.
So this is, we've been doing this, right? This is just an updating of it?
Yes, sir, it is. It's a long-standing mutual aid agreement that we've had in effect for a long time. A lot of the names that were on previous documents have changed since that time. We also took that as an opportunity to update the agreement itself and catch all the parameters of how things have changed over the years between the entities. So it's just capturing all that information again, putting the new players on the page now because of name changes and updates, and bringing it before you to approve.
Good. Any questions for the chief? All right. Good. Good job. Thank you. All right. Commissioner Kaler.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Revising and Creating a New Section in Chapter 126 Zoning, Article 3 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah pertaining to homeless shelters. This ordinance is summarized as follows. Revising and creating a new section in Chapter 126 Zoning, Article 3, Section 72 of the Paducah Code of Ordinances to establish regulations for the location of homeless shelters in the R3, R4, B1, B3, M1, M2, and M3 zones to include minimizing land use conflicts and ensuring that there are adequate services for homeless individuals within the vicinity of the shelter.
I'll second that.
Second. Oh, sorry.
Steve.
Good evening. Currently within our zoning regulations, shelters for homeless are not mentioned. This ordinance that is in front of you is in the same form that was introduced several weeks ago. Generally, this ordinance allows property owners within the city of Paducah to make application to the Board of Adjustment to get a conditional use permit to open up a shelter for homeless. It does require that a code of conduct and an administrative plan be submitted, which I think I went over at the last meeting. If you would like, I would be happy to go over the entire ordinance with you again, section by section, but as I'd mentioned, it is in the same form as before.
Yeah, I don't think anybody needs that. Jeff, have you got any brief comments to make on this? Or?
Well, again, as Steve mentioned, this was brought before you in brief at a study session just a couple of weeks ago, and as you pointed out, there have been no changes made since that time or since it was before the Planning Commission.
That's correct. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on this.
Any comments from City Commissioner? Commissioner Kaler?
At this point, we do not have a homeless shelter facility in the City of Paducah.
The Paducah Cooperative Ministry is located within the city limits, and their units are in the Elemental, I think it is, within the existing Paducah housing. So yes, there are some units within the City of Paducah, but part of the Paducah Housing Authority site.
So how would this ordinance impact them?
I don't think it would.
Okay.
They're an existing facility in the City of Paducah.
Okay.
How were they able to be in the city without a shelter
I can't answer that question, Mayor, but most likely, since they were existing units as part of Paducah Housing Authority, that arrangement was made at the time.
I got you. Good. Any other comments?
No.
Okay. Steve, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Commissioner Watkins.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance extending the boundary of the city of Paducah, Kentucky by finalizing the annexation of certain property line adjacent to the corporate limits of the city of Paducah and defining accurately the boundary of said property to be included within the said corporate limits. This ordinance is summarized as follows: approving final annexation of a tract of property contiguous to the present city limits located at 156 Bleach Road containing 3.5 acres.
Second.
Okay, Steve, what do we have here?
This is an annexation off Bleach Road. Currently, there is a 14,000 square foot mixed-use development being built on it with a planned 2 more 8,400 square foot mixed-use structures. So I think it's a nice annexation. It is a consensual annexation. The property owner has requested the annexation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The owner of the property has requested that it be annexed into the city.
That's correct, sir.
And so that is the only kind of annexation we're interested in, and that's consensual. So any questions by the commissioners on this? Pretty cut and dry. All right. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Abraham.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a 2012 Ford F-150 truck for the City of Paducah's Engineering Public Works Department, Maintenance Division, in compliance with the Kentucky State Purchasing Contract. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The Finance Director is authorized to pay the total sum of $23,186.40 to Paul Miller Ford Incorporated for the purchase of a 2012 Ford F-150 truck for the City of Paducah's Engineering Public Works Department Maintenance Division in compliance with the Kentucky State Purchasing Contract.
Second.
Okay, Rick, pretty cut and dry, right?
Cut and dry.
All right. Any questions for Rick?
Isn't that, that's in Lexington, isn't it? Paul Miller Ford?
Paul Miller Ford? I'm not sure. Where the state contract at, I don't know if it's in Lexington or Louisville.
Yeah, it says Paul Miller Ford, Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Commissioner Galt?
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance repealing in its entirety ordinance number 75-51127, which authorized the closing of an alley from the south line of Kentucky Avenue to the north line of Washington Street near South 17th Street in Paducah, Kentucky, and clarifying that the aforesaid alley is a public right-of-way of the City of Paducah. This ordinance is summarized as follows, that by the enactment of this ordinance, the Board of Commissioners hereby repeals in its entirety ordinance number 75-51127, which authorizes the closing of the aforesaid alley and clarifies that the aforesaid alley is a public right-of-way of the City of Paducah, Kentucky.
Second.
All right. This is in regard to the middle school?
Actually, Mayor, this is some house cleaning that we're having to do because evidently in 1975 the applicant brought before the commission an alley to be closed, of which required circuit court action. They did not carry it to the circuit court. Therefore, it was never, even though this body closed it, authorized its closing, it never was closed. And then it came up in a property issue again, and we had to, do this legislation in order that everybody could recognize it as being an open alley and get our records straight on that, because the circuit court the applicant never followed through at the circuit court.
Good enough. Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Rick? All right. Moving right along. Commissioner Kaler.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an addendum to the agreement to employ Jeffrey A. Peterson as Paducah City Manager. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The city hereby approves an addendum to the employment agreement with Jeffrey Peterson and authorizes the mayor to execute said addendum. The changes are as follows. Reflects a 1% salary increase effective July 2nd, 2011. Amends terms of payment into the city manager's deferred compensation plan and extends the residency requirement from 12 to 14 months.
Second.
Okay, as you all know, we talked about the city manager's yearly evaluation in executive session, and talked about the way that would be restructured for the coming year. I believe I've talked to all of you by phone, and I think everybody's okay, but are there any questions at this time?
I don't have any.
I just want to say for the public that, Jeff, I think you're doing a great job. You're a smart individual. You make good decisions. You're keeping the city commission from fighting each other, and you're an asset. I believe the staff, the department heads would agree that you're a good leader, and we appreciate your good work and look forward to working with you in the coming years.
Appreciate that.
I'd just like to echo and add, too, I think I'm thrilled that Jeff is here with us in Paducah, and I think he's a very intelligent, great communicator, and just understands the role of the city manager to the T and offers great wisdom and advice, as you mentioned, and I think he's a true leader, and we're blessed to have him, so I'm glad you're here, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, before we move on, if you don't mind, I noticed that we have some visitors in the audience, and I think there's a little puzzled as to the protocol here. So if you will explain what just happened with introductions and what should happen, because we voted on some ordinances and the ones that we just read, they were first readings. So it might behoove us just to explain the process there just a little bit.
As far as
that those were first readings and they'll have to have a second reading, and then there'll be
a second reading before they become law.
Mm-hmm.
So
and the vote will be taken at the next meeting.
We do not vote when they're introduced. So this is the first part of the process. The rest of it will happen, I believe, on the 20th. Is that right, Ms.
Yes, they're
Clerk?
scheduled for adoption next week.
Right. Okay. All right, we'll go into the city manager's report. Since we bragged on you like that, I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Well, thank you. I have a little meatier report than normal tonight, so we'll get right with it. As was communicated to you and has been communicated in the press, city and county administrative officials got together last week to take up the issue of the cash deficit that exists with the Julian Carroll Convention Center and what role the city and county might play in addressing that, so that the operation is allowed to remain open and viable, and also put on a footing to move forward and get the vendors paid and attempt to generate revenue and pay the bills in the best fashion they can without this rather significant cloud hanging overhead. You can imagine what it does to the decision-making process for vendor payments when your payables exceed your revenues by a factor of twofold or greater without any resolution in sight. So that is the idea here, is for the city and county to come together as the essential co-owners of that facility to address this issue, to provide the opportunity for the convention center to move forward with its head above water. The recommendation that we have before you tonight, and the same recommendation that is going to be made to the fiscal court that came out of the meeting with the mayor and I and the judge executive and deputy judge executive, is that the city and county focus its efforts currently with the outstanding power bill that exists with Paducah Power. The most current billing the most recent billing of 11/29 results in an outstanding bill to date, inclusive again of the current billing, of $113,581.42. And if I did my longhand math correctly, half of that is $56,790.71. So it is our recommendation tonight that the City Commission take action to fund that amount of money as half of the outstanding Paducah Power bill. This will bring the operation close to being flush for today. We did, I will mention that this decision was based on a number of things, but it was made a better decision, we think, and a more sound and accurate decision through the development of a 12-month financial pro forma that was developed in the city with the resources of the Finance Office and Steve Doolittle, that attempted and I think was successful in portraying the current cash position of the operation and projecting it forward for the next 6 and 12 months period of time. Granted, there's some lack of perfect ability to do that, and I will say that it was done conservatively, although there are expectations in a number of areas that some of the projections will materialize in a more favorable manner than what we did. I might mention that the convention center is on a several-month upswing in activity and revenue generation, so that is amongst the positives that we see. But this is the recommendation before you tonight, is to agree to fund half of the payable to Paducah Power in the amount of $56,790.71. It would be my further recommendation that the City Commission look to its contingency fund for that. The contingency fund in the budget this year is appropriated at the figure of $150,000. It's my understanding, in a very recent conversation with the finance officer, that there has been no money spent from that appropriation. So that is still intact as it was originally put in the budget, and we think that's the best place to look for this payment should you consent to make it.
At the same time, there's work being done by PRDA under Joe Frampton's leadership and Steve Doolittle's leadership to find a hotelier to come and build a hotel next to the convention center. That is proceeding in a timely manner. So hopefully this particular hotelier we're talking to has other convention centers, so they're anxious to get here and to start running our convention center and bringing business into Paducah. So there's a lot going on, but we need to keep the convention center open. And we've got the Quilt Show coming up and a lot of other shows coming up. So,
and I would
yes, please.
I would just like to say that I think the Carson Center was a good choice, that they will do a good job with managing the convention center. I know they already have ideas of ways to save money over there. So I think they'll do a great job and for the next 6 months and get us on the right track.
Good comment. We
do thank the Carson Center for doing this.
We
Absolutely.
certainly do. Commissioner Watkins?
Thank you, Mayor. We've got probably today's market value of $25 million worth of property over there in the Julian Carroll and the Paducah Expo Centers, and we've got to protect that, and we can't expect to make a profit without a hotel anchoring it. And as you said, we are working on that, and hopefully sometime soon we'll land a hotelier to build us a nice first-class hotel anchoring the Julian Carroll and the Expo Center there at the riverfront. And I think it's the only right thing to do that we in the county split it 50-50. I mean, we have to keep the lights on. We have to pay the utility bills. But I do have a problem with Paducah Power System charging us penalties and interest. I mean, the city of Paducah, we own Paducah Power System, And I don't think that we should have to pay penalties and interest. I don't mind paying for the usage of the electricity, but I don't support paying the penalties and interest on it. Jeff, do you know how much of that $113,581.42 is penalties and interest?
I don't, Commissioner. I can get that for you. What I have is just a copy of the most recent billing, and it would have past penalty and interest rolled into the past due amount and not separated on this one. I could get that.
I'd like to know what it is for. I just, whatever the commission wants to do. I think we owe the money. We need to pay it. It's the right thing to do, but I don't think it's the right thing to do to pay penalties and interest.
Well, you're right. It's our power company. It's also our convention center, our being the city and the county. So we want to keep it open and operating. Commissioner Galt, any comment?
No, I agree. We have to protect the asset. And,
Mr. Abraham?
Pay it.
I agree.
Pardon?
I agree.
Okay. I didn't catch the agree part.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I definitely agree. All
right. We will have Madam Clerk, will have an ordinance coming before the Commissioner to vote on and take care of it through our standard operating procedure,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, we'll take the action that we need to, yes.
Good. Thank you, Jeff. Next.
Yeah, I'd like to visit with you about the Paducah Renaissance Alliance for a few minutes. Before I do, I'd like to recognize the staff that's present tonight and ask our new director, Lisa Thompson, to bring her staff forward and introduce herself and the crew to the commission and the community.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Thompson. I'm the executive director, and I'm very, grateful for this opportunity, and really look forward to creating and building on the success that you all have had here in Paducah. And the board had selected these two great individuals. This is Amy Sanders.
Hi, I'm Amy Sanders, and I am the communication manager with PRA.
Hello, and I'm Melissa Mass, the new events and promotions manager. Very excited about my new position.
Good, good.
We
Welcome.
look forward to working with you all. And
Thank you.
Well, we look forward to have you working with us, and you're going to be a great team, and you've got a great advisory board to work with, so it's an exciting time. Yeah. Do you want to proceed on?
I will proceed. Thank you, ladies. Welcome aboard.
I just wanted to say, if I could, Mayor, Lisa and team, we're so glad to have you here, and I notice you have a number of years of experience working in Washington, D.C. for the State Department and other, and that certainly caught my interest, but I can see that you've realized where the center of the real power is in America, and so you've moved from D.C. to Paducah.
One of my favorite sayings comes from Art Buchwald. This was George Will, conservative political columnist, who said that 90% of what is important to you in government happens at the local level. I wouldn't think about that for a while. Okay. There have been, of course, there's a lot of excitement about the fact that the staff is finally in place, and we all are dedicated, and I've had extensive conversations with the commission and individual commissioners, the leadership of the PRA board and others, about the importance of success. And I think that we are all in a position, certainly the City Commission is, to affect that in many different ways. So to that end, I think it's opportune, it's appropriate to take a look at the platform that the PRA functions from and operates from, and consider whether or not it is what we need and should have going forward, or if perhaps there may be ways that it can be improved. So it is towards that end that I prepared the following memo, and will share it with the Commission and the audience tonight. The City of Paducah stands out amongst most communities in its commitment to the relevance and vibrancy of its downtown and lower town areas. This is demonstrated through a long-standing dedication of budgetary resources to an array of activities and incentive programs, all aimed to stimulate commerce and private investment in properties in the area. This effort is packaged and administered through the Paducah Renaissance Alliance, which in name recognizes the importance of coordination, collaboration, and resource sharing to the effort to create something greater than what might be possible through independent activities alone. With the creation of the PRA, the city recognized that stakeholder involvement brings credibility to the effort and ultimately is a factor that helps ensure that city financial resources produce desired outcomes. The PRA is a creation of city ordinance, with program responsibilities defined and made the responsibility of an appointed board of directors. With the 4 points of the National Main Street program as a backdrop, the ordinance additionally names the PRA Board of Directors as the Board of Directors for the Main Street program. The ordinance functionally creates a management board, which implies an operation that is removed from the organizational structure and function in the city's city manager form of government. With the long-standing effort to hire staff for the PRA now complete, it is appropriate to revisit the ordinance with an eye to making changes to optimize the conditions that will allow this team of professionals to bring success to the PRA. Over the next 12 months, the city will invest over $250,000 in staff resources, and after much time in the making, I am confident that the team of PRA professionals will generate a good return on that investment of public dollars. There are several options for restructuring of the PRA, and I will briefly outline each and will provide my recommendation. Number one, retain the current ordinance unchanged. Status quo is always one option. It is my belief that the current ordinance creates roles and relationships that are vague at best and at worst are incompatible with the operational structure and function of city government. With the board having defined responsibilities for management, administration, and coordination, there is created ambiguity in areas such as staff direction, policy, compliance, and others. As was demonstrated over the past year, any shortage in staff resources results in an undue burden falling to volunteer board members. The strength of the current ordinance is the recognition of the value of involvement of stakeholder volunteers as well as the credibility that stakeholder involvement brings. Option 2, modify the current ordinance to eliminate a board of directors, effectively making PRA a city department. While this would bring clarification to operational matters and would clearly place program effectiveness and accountability with city staff and management, this option is not advisable, as it would eliminate any recognized structure through which volunteer and stakeholder involvement can occur. Third option, eliminate PRA as a designated city organization and channel monetary support through the Paducah Main Street Association. This option has the potential benefit of lessening the administrative costs and oversight responsibilities of the city. While this option would retain the value of stakeholder involvement in important areas such as planning, program review, and other things, it is likely that the city would struggle to commit the same resources under this model and operations would be largely removed from city government. Fourth option, transform the current PRA management board into an advisory board. This option, which is my recommendation, would be the optimum marriage of all the major elements that are necessary for success. An advisory board would not be involved in the implementation of day-to-day services, but rather would provide PRA vision, monitor progress, recruit volunteers, provide a stakeholder forum, and in general provide advocacy for the PRA mission. The advisory board would provide stakeholders insight on program development and would offer non-binding advice to staff on matters such as marketing, customer trends, etc., etc., etc. In changing the current management board to an advisory board, the PRA will function as a city department with the added benefit of an appointed stakeholder group to help guide and support its mission. Accountability for operations, including expenditure of public dollars, will reside with the city manager and will flow directly to the City Commission as with other city departments. So with those four options and fairly brief statements surrounding them, my recommendation for the City Commission going forward is that we in fact do modify the current ordinance to transform the management board that is prescribed in that ordinance to the role of an advisory board. And as I mentioned earlier, in the process, I think blend the best employment of all resources, that being financial resources, staff resources, and volunteer resources, as well as the structure of the city that are available to optimize the platform from which PRA functions and give it really the best opportunity to succeed. So with that, I guess I would take any questions.
Okay, Commissioner Watkins, comments?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. City Manager, for that explanation for the public and for ourselves. PRA does an important job. The board does. They're stakeholders. They're business owners. They're artists. They're people who have skin in the game, as we say, and they work tirelessly and very hard to try to make a success of so many different things that happen in downtown and lower town that bring a lot of people into the community, that spend a lot of money and provide jobs for a number of people. And after meeting and listening to that board, the PRA board, and listening to a lot of different people on this, I would opt and support the city manager's recommendation for option number 4, which is to have the PRA operate as an advisory board to the staff, and which will report to the city manager. I think that would clarify some of the issues that have surfaced in time past, and the board seems to prefer that is the way they feel like they should operate. And so I support the board, and I support the new staff and the city manager's recommendation to go with option number 4.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kaler.
I certainly think there's always been some confusion on, let's just say, who's the boss. I mean, because you never knew exactly whether to go to the city manager or to the board. So I think that this will certainly clear that up, because definitely the staff will go to the city manager. And we still certainly want the board involved. It's very important that we have board members that are the stakeholders in our community, and they're the ones that are out there fighting for change, fighting for our standards that we want to have in our historic district, downtown and lower town. They're the people that are out selling downtown and lower town to the community. That's a big role that they have, communicating what's going on to all the residents in the community. So we certainly need them as a vital portion of this equation. But yet this will give the staff a little bit more opportunity to operate in an unfettered mode, which will be very good. So I think it's probably, of all the ones that we have talked about, and we've been talking about this a long time, that this is probably the best, in my opinion.
Thank you. Commissioner Abraham?
I support option 4 with a new staff that's hired. Moving forward, I think that's the best way to go.
Thank you. Commissioner Galt?
I think so. You all have heard me say before, there's not a harder working board than that board that's at PRA. So, but I mean, it has created a lot of confusion. It's been very confusing for the staff, and it's hard to be a city department and have a board also. It's just been a weird dynamic, if you will. So I think so. We'll give it a try.
I would like to make a motion that we accept city manager's recommendation for the structure of the PRA board and their staff.
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Kaler?
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins?
Aye.
Mayor Paxton?
Aye. We've got several board members here from PRA. I see Bob and Alan. Are you all the only two here?
John's here somewhere.
Oh, John?
There he is.
Stand up, John. John, as vice chair, would you like to come to the podium and make any remarks? Keep it within 45 minutes.
Whatever form that needs to take to get the community moving, and I think we've got a staff that's going to make that happen. I think we're on the way.
Yeah. Well, John, you're a hard-working group. I want to thank you for your hard work. I want to thank people like Bob and Alan and all the board. And Lisa, why don't you come back up to the podium, if you would. As I will agree with Commissioner Watkins, I think you made a wise choice of leaving Washington and coming to Paducah. I think your staff is a great staff. As we've talked about, a big part of your mission is to make downtown vibrant with all sorts of different, from retail to law offices to whatever, but fill those buildings. Obviously, in our district, we've got a wonderful art school coming down there. One of the 5 best community and technical colleges in the country. And so what you want to do is bring artists and fill those homes and studios. So I just want you to know that I'm excited to have you working with this advisory board and your staff, and if Jeff will just stay out of your way, I think you all would do a good job. So just kidding, Jeff.
That's all right.
But we're excited about this, and we think we need to move forward. The old saying is onward and upward. So good luck.
Thank you. I mean, Paducah should be really proud. I mean, I'm just so impressed with the program that you all have created here and the success that you've had. And, the leadership has been top-notch, not only from the, elected officials, but from the volunteer board that you've had. I mean, it's really commendable. And we look forward to growing on all those successes that you all have had.
Good. Thank you all. John?
I have one other thing I'd like to say. I'd be remiss if I didn't compliment Jeff on the job that he's done. It's been a minefield, and you never know where you're going to step on one, but you can bet somebody's going to throw one. He's done a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, staff, Amy and all of you. Okay.
I have one more thing.
Yes, you do have one more thing, don't you? I had not forgotten.
Oh, okay.
Go right ahead. Did we finish that? Have we done everything we're supposed to do there?
Before he gets started, Mayor, I'd just like to follow up on hook on to what you just said. This week for West Kentucky Community and Technical College, we have about 7,800 students. There's over 1,200 two-year community colleges in the United States. And the school that won, Valencia in Orlando, Florida, has over 70,000 students. But WKCTC in Paducah, Kentucky, was named one of the top 5 community colleges in the entire country. It makes me extremely proud to teach there. I've been there 21 years. I love it there. Love the students. It's so much fun. But it's just a great school, and I just think with so many awards this community has been winning, we're just poised to do something great. We're the Tim Tebow of cities. So it's pretty exciting.
We can do a lot worse.
And I think we have to thank Dr. Veazey and her staff and the board at the college for their leadership, great leadership.
Yeah, and no doubt.
Creates greatness.
Yeah, I think we owe that a round of applause. That's great. Okay, City Manager, we got.
The city began a trespass enforcement action this morning in an area known as Tent City, and I want to read the press release that went out. The media's had this since sometime midday, but I want the public to have the benefit of hearing it because the city went into some detail in this press release in explaining the facts and circumstances. So if I can take a minute to do that.
You all have one in your packet.
In response to recent signing of trespassing complaints and a request for assistance by affected property owners, this morning the Paducah Police Department notified the people living in the area known as Tent City that they will need to seek alternate shelter by noon tomorrow, which would be tomorrow, Wednesday. Tent City is located on City of Paducah and private property at the end of Tennessee Street. Several homeless people have chosen to set up tents on the properties. Officers visited the site this morning, talked with the people on the properties, and handed out flyers that state the following. The property on which you are staying is private property. The owners of these properties no longer will allow you to stay here. Therefore, you are hereby ordered to remove your property and vacate the premises by noon on Wednesday. If you do not vacate by the date and time given, you may be arrested in violation of KRS 511-080, trespassing. At the bottom of the flyer is a list of organizations along with their phone numbers and addresses that can provide assistance. The City of Paducah has contacted the various agencies and verified that they have adequate space for additional residents. Officers offered to make contacts and transport the people in Tent City to friends, family, or one of the organizations that can provide assistance. No trespassing signs will be placed on the properties as soon as possible. The press release quotes me, "The safest and legal option for those living in the Tent City area is to seek shelter with friends or family or at a designated agency that provides shelter and can meet their needs. As we head into the colder winter months, we are afraid for the health and safety of those trying to live outdoors. There are local shelter options that can provide people with food and a warm place to stay." In addition to the trespassing issue, the City of Paducah has become aware of a life safety concern at Tent City that is obligated to protect those living in its city limits, and is obligated to protect those living in the city limits, that being the city. The colder weather has led to the erection of large tents that are being heated by wood-burning stoves. The City of Paducah is working with property owners to have the tents removed. The Kentucky Building Code, Kentucky Residential Code, and their referenced codes will not allow the use of portable storage buildings or tents as temporary or permanent residences. The purpose of building codes is to protect public health, safety, and general welfare as they relate to the construction and occupancy of buildings and structures. Prior to the occupancy of any structure, construction document submittals must be obtained, reviewed, and approved by the City of Paducah Inspection Department. The Kentucky Residential Code mandates minimal provisions for all one- and two-family residential structures. Those provisions stipulate square footage of habitable space, light and ventilation requirements, permanent heat source, permanent kitchen facilities, permanent sanitation facilities, and the utilities required for them, emergency escape and egress, smoke and carbon monoxide detection, and interior finishes. The Paducah Planning Department is moving forward with a recommendation to amend the zoning ordinance to allow homeless shelters within the Paducah city limits. The introduction of the ordinance amendment is scheduled and did occur at this evening's City Commission meeting. If approved by the Paducah City Commission, the ordinance would outline requirements for a homeless shelter, including location constraints, permit requirements, and shelter standards. Before any structure could be utilized as a homeless shelter, an application for a conditional use permit would need to be filed and would include a public hearing and Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment approval. Following agencies are available to provide assistance: River City Mission, Paducah Cooperative Ministry, Four Rivers Behavioral Health, Department of Veterans Affairs, and Family Services Society.
There are several important issues here. Number one is the owners of the property want these people gone. Number one. Number two, the neighborhoods that are around this property are scared. They're concerned about what's going to happen. And the third thing that is important is what was laid out in this is that there is plenty of room for these people to stay at different shelters, whether it be River City Mission or wherever. So these people have a place to go, and the city has a liability. There are all sorts of stories going around, but if somebody burns themselves up in a tent that has a wood-burning fireplace, the city has a liability because we did not enforce the code and to take care of the people like we should. We have a responsibility, we have an obligation, and we're doing the right thing. So these people have an alternative place to stay, and this is the route that they should take. So with that, I think I'll open it up to any commissioners that have a comment. Commissioner Abraham?
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're faced with a situation where these agencies that are listed on the paper, there is, I'm sure each one of these agencies, they've got a criteria that has to be met, whether it's drug testing, whether it's, I don't know, and that has to happen before you can go there. That just makes that transition that much more challenging. And I understand that. As it was laid out in the news release and what the city manager read, the city is liable to, if we don't adhere to a building code, whatever KRS lays out, we're sworn to uphold that. So it's a situation where it's not pleasant. It's very challenging and disturbing, but that's where we are. And when I got the facts, the FAX, and then read the facts on how we're mandated to we don't have any wiggle room on that. I mean that's the way KRS lays it out. So I guess my comments are that we are moving as a city to have reasonable accommodations here in the city for our residents that doesn't have a place to stay, and so moving forward, that's where we are. I guess that's my.
Yeah, and it's important to say that a lot of these regulations are not Paducah City regulations.
No,
they are state regulations. So we don't have any choice but to abide by them.
Right.
And that's an important point, Commissioner Galt.
Well, and I agree with Commissioner Abraham. I mean, we're between a rock and a hard place, so to speak. I understand that, and the property owner, and but I think that it's important too to recognize that we have people that we need to help find a solution. We need to work with them and in conjunction with them. And there may be places here where we have families that are living in those tents, and for whatever River City Mission may only take men, and we need to work through that. And when I talked to Steve earlier today, I know it's going to be some time before we can get a homeless shelter in place and get that set up if it comes to fruition. So I think it's for us important for us to be solution focused and work with the population to see how we can rally as a community and solve this problem.
You're exactly right, Commissioner. It's important that the supporters of these people give us a solution that is legal, that we can live with. We're willing to look at this, but you've got to give us a solution that we can live with. And so we'll be glad to talk to those people for any type of solution other than the one that's currently going on at any time they like. Commissioner Kaler?
Well, I certainly think we have a safety and health issue here, and we're doing it not only to protect the city from liability, but to protect people that are living there. I mean, the conditions are pretty bad. I do think that we can come together as a community and work with the different churches here in Paducah. I'm sure they would all come together and try to find a solution for this. And I think that's a good place to start. We have a very giving community here that has all kinds of programs that can be utilized. And any way that the city can be helpful in coordinating that, I think we could certainly do that. Because we know all the right people to contact. So we're a good resource to help. We do want to help. We do.
Thank you. Commissioner Watkins.
Thank you, Mayor. Homelessness is a growing national problem, and no one seems to really have an answer, but we do need to do everything we can to try to help those type situations. People have lost jobs in this down economy, and some people have no family, they have no support structure, they have nowhere to go. I do have some, certainly a lot of compassion in this area, as we all do. I served on the River City Mission Board of Directors for several years. I went to South Central Los Angeles and worked with the homeless for 9 days on a mission trip, and I grew up at 1210 Tennessee Street, a block away from Tent City, and I just drove down there a couple of weeks ago to look around. And we need to, as everyone said, try to find a solution here locally, try to find a facility that would meet both state and city code and serve as an adequate structure for everyone living at Tent City. But the community has been very giving. My church, a lot of churches have been very active in supporting Tent City, and we want to continue to do so. I guess the big catch here is I was mistaken on who actually owned that land and property. I thought it had been transferred to some board, Tent City board of some sort that had been set up. But if Tent City doesn't own it, then obviously we don't have any recourse there. So I just think that we're all people of goodwill, and we have a problem here, and people's lives are affected, and we need to try to come up with a solution that'll meet state law and provide the answers if we can pull our brains and see what's available and see if we can find. There's a lot of volunteers who are helping, and there's donations, and there are people of goodwill and churches, and the city wants to be part of the solution too. So I guess I'm open to listening to.
I'm going to allow one person to respond, and I believe that's Michelle. If you'll come up to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor, and Commissioners, and all the various members of the community that are here for us tonight. In addressing this, there are some issues I definitely want to point out. We, Ms. Kaler, do have a lot of, we have turned to the churches. Some of them are here tonight. His house from Mayfield doesn't even live in our community, but has been a tremendous support. New Life Tabernacle, Trinity Baptist Church, Bethel Holiness Church, Burnett Church, Nehemiah Christian Church, Broadway Methodist allows us the use of their showers twice a week. Free Spirit Motorcycle Church, the Faith Center has been extremely generous. Southland Baptist has been an extreme help. So we have turned to members of the community. Individuals as well have made great sacrifices just from their own pockets. So we have looked toward the churches and members of the community alike to help us. Now, I do want to commend the city for going forward on trying to pass the ordinance. That is the ultimate goal, not solution, because it's not going to end homelessness, but it is the ultimate goal as far as moving people into suitable shelter arrangement, I thank you all for moving on with that and trying to get past that ordinance and get that through. Facing the current situation at hand, the eviction that you just read, there are some questions that I'd like to clarify or ask or clarify regarding that, and I don't have a copy of it. One thing, as far as the landowners, we were told earlier today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We were told earlier today that if we were to move where we are apparently, and I don't have a copy of the map, but for the sake of argument, we will say that some of the tents and belongings are on the wrong side of the property line. So we were told if we were to move those to the correct side of the property line, the private property that is in process of being donated once Tent City Missions is actually finalized, that we would be fine. And then later this evening, actually, as I was walking into this building, I was given notice that even if we are to move our residents to the proper private property in the morning before noon, that we would still be considered out of compliance and out of ordinance, and that was not going to be a viable option. I would like to clarify on the tents with wood heaters. These are U.S. Army issue tents. Our United States Army uses these tents as a temporary structure to, help to keep our soldiers safe and warm and sheltered. And they're there for the winter, which would be temporary. It's not a permanent shelter. It's a tent. A permanent shelter, as far as I'm understanding, a temporary shelter, I should say, as far as I'm understanding, is not necessarily under the same guidelines as a permanent structure. So those wood stoves and the flues, they are manufactured to go into these Army issue tents. I don't even know how to clarify that any further. I mean, if they're not passing ordinance, I don't know. Maybe our U.S. Army is not passing ordinance as well. I'm not sure, but that's what they are. They're U.S. Army tents with heaters in them. Having said that, I would like to say that even without a suitable shelter at this point in time, there has been so many lives affected and changed. So many people passed through those gates. When we think of Tent City, a lot of people think of the original men that were down there. And there's still a couple of those there. 2, 3. There's 3, actually. One was here, and he just left. Out of those 9 original men, except for 3, which all 3 are most likely eligible for disability, once we have a facility, we can help people on a little quicker basis. Those 3 men will most likely, 1 definitely, qualify for disability and be able to get into a permanent home. But of the 9 original, 6 of them are in either a permanent home, return to family, or in Centerpoint Recovery Center, and acting as shining examples at Centerpoint Recovery Center. And since then, we have a different dynamic now, and the city, I don't think, is aware. This is not the same kind of people that were originally there for 10 years and living in these shelters. We have families now. We have 60-plus-year-old mom and pop and sons that were there. Now, they're not there now, but they were able to come there. They moved here to be part of the art district. They're retired from the nursing. They had a full life career. They retired from nursing, came here to be a part of the art district. They had a dream of opening their own art gallery, and unfortunately, before they got all their ducks in a row, they ran out of money. Found themselves living in their cars from rest stops to rest stops. They heard about us through the soup kitchen. They were able to come, save up a few retirement checks while they got on their feet. If they had gone to a mission, the one for married couples with men, with boys, they would have to take some of that income and give it to that mission, because that's a requirement of that mission, that you have to give them 25% of your income. They couldn't afford to do that and still get out. Our goals here are not to keep people in a mission. It's to help them get back up on their feet and get back out in the world. Those people are here. We've got people here with jobs who don't want to
give half or a quarter of their income, more than the government takes, to a mission, or they're not going to get on their feet. We've got people out there who have had no family but a dog for 17 years. A dog isn't allowed in a mission. They're not going to, he's not going to get rid of his dog to stay in the mission. That's his family. That's the only family he's had for 17 years. We've got unmarried couples that have been together for years and years. There's not a mission in Paducah that will take an unmarried couple. Their choice is to split up or to not go. And they're not going to go. So I guess my question is, 12 o'clock noon, we have to vacate this property. We had a plan, we thought, up until 5:30 this evening, to back up onto the proper property. We've got a map coming first thing in the morning. We've got volunteers coming, helping us first thing in the morning. But now I'm told that's not the solution, that we can't just back up to the proper property line. So I guess what I need to ask you now is, what do we do? Where are we supposed to go with them?
Well, we do not have the people here to answer those questions. Steve Doolittle, our inspector, he'll be here tomorrow, and you all can meet with him. He has told city manager and myself, work with us, give us some options that we can live with. So I would say that there's nothing going to be resolved tonight, because we don't have the proper people there to tell us what the law is and what the law requires.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask you, if we're not out of the way by noon tomorrow, are we going to jail? Because I don't know that we can get out of the way by noon tomorrow.
I think the notification is clear. What has to happen?
Oh yes, we're going to jail.
You all need to abide by the rules of the city.
Do you have a suggestion of where I can take these people?
Yeah, you can take them to all these places.
I just explained, Mr. Mayor, I just explained why they can't go there. Four Rivers is a long-term. They don't have a facility. They're just help. They're long-term help. The VA department has been extremely helpful with us in placing people, but that's not going to happen by noon tomorrow. That's a long-term solution.
There's some exceptions that these people can make. You're asking the city to make an exception. Maybe these people can make an exception and allow maybe an animal to be there for some certain amount of time or something. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I do know the answer, but I will ask them, will they make an exception? I certainly will. And there's tons of success stories that we've got. I mean, if you want to stay here all night,
yeah.
I've had 56 people go through those gates in the last 12 months. 36 of those people are in a more suitable home right now, or in a more suitable situation. I don't know what else we can do.
But on our side, we are getting calls from neighbors that are saying, I can't sleep at night because I'm scared that these people are going to come and break in my home. We have no, we're not. No, we're not.
I just want you to see who we're scared of. Stand up, Penny. Stand up, Martha. Stand up, Arthur. Will y'all stand up so you can see who we're scared of?
Okay. All right. I'm telling you what. I'm telling you what the homeowners. I'm telling you what the homeowners are telling us. Okay. So you work with Steve Little tomorrow. We'll work with you right up to the.
Right till noon till we go to jail. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Mayor, can I please accept me, please? Listen, I know I may not be I'm a common citizen person, but may not be, a lot of my friends, homeless shelters, people I know of here, may not be exactly perfect. But the question I want to ask you guys one thing, and I know this may be a tough question to ask, because this may be one tough question for me to ask for anything, because this is my first time and I have ever speak anything for the homeless, for anybody in my entire life. I have never done this. of anything. But the question is, basically, and I agree with Michelle, and Michelle is my best friend, and I know her husband, where she works at, but in the end is, the council only saying is, what if some of the veteran soldiers like him, or veterans, soldiers like my dad, being the Marine Service for back in the Cuban crisis times. What about some of the guys from the Iraq War? Been caused by explosions. But I know to you basically, Sunny Shelters homes for long-term basically is. It may not basically because some of them may say basically because they have nightmare dreams. They have dreams because from the last World War II explosions or something, maybe the cause of tragedies, maybe, or maybe somebody may have worked in nursing homes before. But the shelter says, well, I'm sorry, sir, but your dreams are disturbing the homeless shelters. Your dreams are making nightmares. Your dreams are making this. Well, if you can't go by the homeless shelter rules, then if you cannot be quiet in the homeless shelter rules, then you're kicked out. At one place, as the homeless shelter says, where should we go? I don't know. I don't care. I don't care if you get kicked out below minus 41. I'm talking about the last place, the homeless shelter, the last place my family was in North Dakota. And I know you guys, this may not be a story for anything else. I know you guys may not care or not. But it's something for fact, and long term is basically for nation, America content. And I'm talking about, we believe in American nation content for one thing, to believe in, to help out people, to help out the homeless. I'm talking about, is our nations actually built on basically by God's will of standards words, where you see our nation's been built by back in the 1942 from the last World War II when everybody was homeless. And it took the World War II draft, but the basic in hand, this and everything else. What was the World War II was built on basically, was not built on basically by the rich class? No. World War II was built by basically because by the homeless people. The people was on the streets. I'm back in World War II. We need work. Where we find work, the people was on the street need work. They need a place. Because it was fun by them basically for anything else.
Yeah, let me say, Michelle, if you'll be here at 9 o'clock in the morning, we cannot promise you anything, but you come with some options for us, and we'll work with you right up to the time. If we can pull out any more options, we'll do so. But be here at 9 o'clock, prepared to talk to Mr. Doolittle, and that's the best we can do. Thank you very much.
Okay. So moving to the proper property is not an option. Is that what I'm understanding?
What you need, I don't know. You've got to talk to Steve.
Do you, Mr. Mayor, have the power to extend our time?
I'm not going to make any promises. Show up in the morning, and we'll work this thing through. Okay?
I'm not suggesting we break state law or anything here, but I think that we need to give a little more time here for a solution would be where I would come down. If you're on your own property and you're not violating state or city code, I don't know how you could be evicted, but we do need to find a solution. That's not a long-term solution for anyone, but we need some time, and I would opt for let's have a little more time.
I mean, I know this is not an exact example, but we can't even leave our Big Ten up for more than 6 months by state law.
We didn't ask for it to be up more than 6 months.
And how
It's
long
winter
have you
months.
been there, though? How long have you all been there?
They have only been in the Big Tent with the heat since a month.
I mean, on the property. How long? Has it been a while, or because I'm not sure how long you've been there.
There have been tents on the property for over 10 years.
Yeah.
The Army tents, no, not that long.
So
There have been tents on the property more than 10
work
years.
something out. So please come in the morning and have an open mind, and I think we can work something out.
And how many people?
There's 13 tonight.
13 tonight.
Does it vary?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
What's the maximum that you've ever had?
35.
That takes a pretty big place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Regardless of what short-term solution, there still has to be a long-term solution.
Well, and bear in mind there are two issues. One is individual property owner's rights, and the other one is the city's enforcement of its codes. So
You all help us out, we'll help you out. We're willing to abide by the law, but give us a chance. Some of us out there trying to get work, without having wheels of phone, it's kind of rough, but we will abide by the law.
It will be.
Look
we'll
forward
see
to
you
meeting
at
in the
9
morning.
o'clock in the morning.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.